women for not removing their hijab, running IRGC operatives in our streets, fundraising, organizing, and terrorizing our own people on our own soil. The Liberals have never had a single position on Iran, only whichever position costs the least. The record never lies. Delay and silence are a quiet ballot cast for the tyrants. Iran knows it, and because every time the Liberals are in the room, the tyrants keep winning.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver Centre.
Mr. Speaker, I am proud to welcome to the gallery physicians from across Canada, part of the Canadian Medical Association.
As the member knows, we cannot point out those who are in the gallery, but the member may start from the beginning and omit that part.
Mr. Speaker, physicians from across Canada are here today as part of the Canadian Medical Association's Hill Day. My colleagues are here to deliver this message on behalf of their patients. Medicare is in trouble. We must fix it. I spent years as a physician, standing with patients in times of sorrow, joy, pain, birth, and death. It was a privilege and an honor. I saw what happens when a system stretched past its limits is held together only by the dedication of those who deliver care. Our doctors know what is needed to build a more efficient, effective, and equitable system. Meet with them. Listen to them. Let's end the toxic spread of health disinformation that erodes public trust and risks lives. Let's ensure access to care by all Canadians, especially the vulnerable and the stigmatized. I ask you today, colleagues, to salute doctors across the country who show up each day for their patients against all odds to deliver the care they need when they need it, regardless of where they live or their ability.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, after years of the Prime Minister's recycled speeches and empty promises, Canadians are still waiting for relief that never comes. There was nothing new in his latest message, just the same words, while costs rise and families fall further behind. In March, Canada again had the highest grocery price inflation in the G7. In Newfoundland and Labrador, families are paying more and getting less at the checkout and at the pumps. We are in an entrepreneurial drought, with 55% of small business owners not recommending starting a business. Why? Because this Prime Minister doubled down on deficits, printed money, and kept taxes high, driving up the cost of everything. No major resource projects, no plan to get our energy to market, fewer homes are being built, while young families wonder if they'll ever afford one. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians don't need another empty Liberal promise, they need results. Conservatives are fighting to end the waste, cut the taxes, unleash our resources, approve projects, and build homes so Canadians can once again afford to live, work, and raise a family.
The Honourable Member for Cumberland, Colchester.
Mr. Speaker, 6 years ago this past weekend, my community experienced unthinkable tragedy. 22 lives lost across Nova Scotia. They were neighbours, friends, family. These past 6 years have delivered much pain, sorrow, and confusion. But we have also witnessed extraordinary resilience, compassion, and solidarity. We have supported one another through the darkest of days and found strength together that we may not have known we possessed. We learned that grief does not have a finish line, but neither does love. So let us grieve, but not get lost in grief. And let us commit to working together toward the kind of community that honors every life lost. Thank you.
Oral questions, questions orales, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Les familles canadiennes devraient pouvoir remplir leur panier d'épicerie sans vider leur portefeuille. Mais hier, on a appris que dans le mois de mars, le Canada avait pour le 4e mois
consecutive month
le pire inflation
has
alimentaire.
had the
Tous les
worst
autres pays du
food
G7
inflation.
ont
All
les
other
mêmes
G7
facteurs
countries have
mondiaux
the
comme les
same
guerres et les
global
tarifs, mais
issues such
ici
as
au Canada,
wars and
sous ce
tariffs.
premier ministre libéral,
But
les
here in
Canadiens
Canada,
voient
under
les
this Liberal Prime
augmentations de prix
Minister,
les plus rapides. Le
Canadians
Premier
are
ministre a
seeing the
dit
fastest price
le 25
hikes.
mars
On
que
March 25th, the
l'abordabilité est
PM
le
said
mieux
that
depuis une décennie.
affordability is
Est-ce qu'il
at its
croit
best in a
encore
decade.
que c'est
Did
vrai?
he still believe that it's true?
Le très
The
honorable
Right Honourable
Premier
Prime
ministre.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker,
le 25 mars,
on March
j'ai dit que
25th, I said
l'abordabilité
that affordability
des loyers, c'est le
of
mieux pendant une
household
décennie. Ça, c'est vrai, c'est un fait.
is at its highest in a
Deuxièmement, en
decade.
ce qui concerne encore,
Second,
en mars, au mois de mars,
In month of March,
les
again,
salaires canadiens
Canadian
ont
salaries
augmenté 2 fois
rose
plus le taux
twice
d'inflation.
as high as the
On
rate of
augmente
inflation.
cette économie, l'économie qui va
And the
croître
economy
le deuxième, à
is
un rythme
growing
le deuxième plus rapide du G7.
at the second fastest pace in
Leader
the
of the
G7.
opposition.
C'est pas ça qu'il a dit, Monsieur le
That's not what he
Président.
said,
Il a
Mr.
dit que
Speaker. He said that
l'abordabilité
affordability
était la mère depuis plus d'une décennie.
was
Et
at
même
its
s'il
best
avait
in
parlé de
over a
loyer,
decade.
c'est
And
pas
even if
vrai
he
non
did talk
plus.
about rents,
En
that wouldn't be true
2015,
either
le
in
loyer était
2015.
$970 pour une chambre.
Rents
Maintenant,
cost roughly
c'est
$970 for a one bedroom. Now
Donc
it's
c'est
over
même pas
$1,000.
vrai. Le Premier ministre ne peut pas régler un
for the
problème
same.
s'il
So the
ne le
Prime Minister
comprend
cannot
pas.
solve a problem if he
Tous
doesn't
les
understand
Canadiens
it.
qui
All
paient plus pour le
Canadians
loyer et la
who pay
nourriture
more for
et
rent
d'autres
and
choses
food
savent qu'il avait
and other
tort.
things know
Va-t-il
that he was
simplement
wrong?
avouer qu'il
Can
a
he
fait
just
une erreur?
admit that he made a mistake?
Le très
The
honorable
Right
Premier
Honourable Prime
ministre.
Minister.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker,
on mesure l'abordabilité
we measure
avec les prix
affordability
et les salaires.
through prices
Les
and
salaires
salaries.
continuent d'augmenter ici au
And
Canada à un
salaries
rythme
have
2 fois
continued to
plus
increase
rapide
here in
que
Canada
le taux
at a pace
d'inflation
that
et
is double that of
les taux
inflation.
des loyers
And
diminuent maintenant
rents
ici
are
au
going
Canada
down now here in Canada
à cause d'une augmentation
because
de l'offre
of
des
a greater supply
maisons de logement.
of housing.
The honourable Leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians should be able to fill their grocery carts without emptying their bank accounts. But yesterday, we learned that for the 4th month in a row, Canada had the highest food price inflation in the G7 under this Liberal Prime Minister. All the other G7 countries have the same tariffs and wars and other global factors as we do, but it is under this Prime Minister that Canadians are paying the most, the fastest. Yet he made a bizarre comment on March 25th where he said that affordability is the best it's been in over a decade. Families who are turning back items at the grocery checkout, young people who can't afford homes, know he's wrong. Will he admit that he was wrong?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the record is that every month that I've been Prime Minister, Canadian average wages have grown faster than the rate of inflation. Every month I've been Prime Minister, rents have fallen relative to wages. And you know what? There's more good news, Mr. Speaker, because on June 5th, over 12 million Canadians are going to receive the Groceries and Essentials benefit top-up. A boost today and a bridge to tomorrow.
The Honourable Leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he goofed. He stood on the floor of the House of Commons and claimed that it is now more affordable than at any time in a decade. The seniors who have to line up at food banks after those food bank lineups have doubled know he's wrong. The young people who are paying twice the rent that they would have paid a decade ago know he's wrong. The single mother who's paying 40% more for groceries and has to turn back items at the grocery checkout, know he's wrong. Will he just stand up, admit he's human, that he made a mistake, that he goofed up, and that he got it wrong on affordability?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, housing rental affordability continues to improve. Asking rents have declined for 18 consecutive months. Every single month that this government has been in office, Canadian average salaries have increased. And now the IMF says that Canada will be the second strongest economy in the G7 this year and next. We are growing Canada strong. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he said that affordability is the best it's been in over a decade. A decade ago, the average one-bedroom rent was $970. Today, it's $1,850. Double. Incomes have not doubled. The young people who can't afford that rent know that he's wrong. The seniors choosing between eating and heating know that he's wrong. The Canadians paying 70% more for beef know that he's wrong. Will you stop quoting international bankers and realize that Canadians have never paid more and admit he was wrong?
Here, here. The right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, asking rents have declined year on year for the 18th consecutive month. Growth in housing expenses have increased at less than the Bank of Canada's target, marking the 16th straight month of annual declines. Salaries continue to grow at more than twice the rate of inflation. Affordability is improving, but this government is just getting started, and we won't stop.
Very much. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Canadians are hoping they do stop because they can't afford to pay one more penny. This Prime Minister is completely out of touch, and Canadians are completely out of money. He thinks it's more affordable because his company puts its money in tax havens, so it's very affordable when you don't have to pay any tax. Meanwhile, the single mothers who are having to put their grocery items back, they understand that he's wrong to say affordability is better than ever before. The seniors who can't afford the doubling of rent under this Liberal government, they know he's wrong. Canadians know he's wrong. Will he stand up, admit that he goofed up, and that he was wrong on affordability?
The right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to read into the record for the benefit of the Leader of the Opposition. I work for Canadians and only Canadians. I work for Canadians and only Canadians to improve their affordability. That's why we have the groceries and essential benefits. Over $500 for 12 million Canadians June 5th. That's why we're cutting the federal tax on fuel. That's why we're providing Canadians, average family, with over $20,000 in benefit from child care to dental care, farmer care. Everything he voted against.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
Monsieur le Président, depuis un an, le Bloc insiste pour que la négociation commerciale avec les États-Unis soit la priorité. Or, ça ne semblait pas être la stratégie du gouvernement. Maintenant, aujourd'hui, il rétablit le comité consultatif sur les relations commerciales avec les États-Unis, enrichi même et peut-être dans le sens des intérêts du Québec. Un instrument créé sous Justin Trudeau qui avait eu assez peu d'impact jusqu'à maintenant. Voici qu'il donne un message que de nouveau, la priorité du gouvernement, c'est la négociation. Va-t-il, dans l'intervalle, mettre en place des mesures de transition pour les entreprises?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Monsieur le Président, c'est un grand honneur d'avoir le conseil d'avis pour Monsieur le ministre Canada-US, y compris le président de FTQ, les grands syndicats québécois, y compris le chef de l'association d'aluminium, Monsieur Simard, y compris des dirigeants des grandes entreprises québécois et canadiennes. Nous avons déjà le meilleur accord commercial avec les États-Unis, mais on vient de commencer.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
Vous me voyez également très heureux que Mme Picard siège sur ce comité. Je rappellerai qu'il y a 3 semaines, le président américain a annoncé une aggravation des tarifs, en particulier touchant des entreprises de transformation qui utilisent l'acier et l'aluminium. De vraies entreprises, de vrais emplois. Puisque la négociation est de nouveau à l'ordre du jour du gouvernement, est-ce qu'il va déployer des mesures transitoires pour les entreprises touchées dans l'intervalle avant la conclusion de cette négociation?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Monsieur le Président, je voudrais remercier le membre opposé pour sa question. C'est une question importante. Et les tarifs, les nouveaux tarifs américains, les 232 tarifs, c'est des tarifs globaux.
are
Et le
global
gouvernement
ones, and
considère
our
des
government
mesures transitoires
is
pour
considering
les sociétés et les
temporary
individus,
measures
y
for
compris
the
les
companies and
travailleurs
individuals,
qui
including
sont
workers who are
affectés.
affected. Thank you. Yes.
Honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
Le premier ministre
The
semble
Prime
enfin
Minister
prendre la
finally
mesure de
seems to be
l'impact, c'est tant
taking
mieux, là,
measures
de
to have an
l'impact
impact
des tarifs américains sur des entreprises.
with respect to
Ce n'est pas parce que 85% des entreprises sont encore sur le chapeau de la CEUM que tout va bien. 15% des entreprises, 15% des emplois, c'est énorme. J'ai bien hâte de prendre connaissance de ce que sont ces mesures, de savoir si elles vont être dans la mise à jour économique et s'il est prêt à nous consulter à ce sujet.
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Monsieur le Président, évidemment, il faut attendre à la mise à jour économique. C'est le 24 avril avec le grand ministre des Finances et il y aura plus de bonnes nouvelles pour les Canadiens et les Canadiennes. Alors, en ce qui concerne la stratégie du gouvernement, on construit un Canada fort, abordable, résilient et plus indépendant des États-Unis.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I gave the Prime Minister to correct the chance to correct the record, and he refused to do so. On March 25th, he made an inaccurate comment. He claimed that affordability was the best that it had been in over a decade. Rent has doubled in that decade. The cost of food is up 40%. The cost of beef is up 70%. The cost of mortgages is up well over 60%. And every Canadian knows that he got it wrong. He can't possibly fix a problem if he doesn't know it exists. Exactly. So will he stand up today, admit that he got it wrong, and admit that life has never been more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, just moments ago, the Leader of the Opposition was talking about single mothers. And Mr. Speaker, what I'd like to say to all the single moms across the country is we've got your back. We've got your back with the Canada Child Benefit Payment that is indexed to inflation so that when the costs go up, so does your payment, something the Conservatives voted against. We've got your back when it comes to the cost of childcare, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that not only can you go to work, improve your skills, but you can actually pay for quality childcare while you do it. These guys vote against workers, they vote against moms, they vote against kids.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And now the Prime Minister has gone in the Witness Protection Program, Mr. Speaker. 70% of the time he doesn't even show up to answer questions, and then he refuses to stand up for affordability. He made the comment that affordability was the best it's been in over a decade. This after the number of people lined up at food banks has doubled. The rent has doubled. The cost of food is up 40%. We have the worst food price inflation in 40 years, and the Prime Minister cannot even stand in his place and debate me and answer the question, will he admit that he got it wrong on affordability like everything else?
Colleagues, order. The Honourable Minister of... Okay, let's calm down. The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's clear we hit a nerve today, didn't we? Because they know the truth, Mr. Speaker. Whether we're talking about investment in skilled trades workers, supporting workers when they are laid off due to tariffs or other issues related to that sector, Mr. Speaker, they vote against Canadians' interests. Whether it's $500, $1,800, $16,000, guess what, Mr. Speaker? Same pattern of behavior. They vote against the very Canadians they say they care about. But you know what, Mr. Speaker? Their actions prove exactly what side they're on in issues.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he goofed up. He stood up and claimed that Canadians have never had it so good, claiming that affordability is the best that it's been in over a decade, during which time housing costs have doubled, food bank lineups have doubled, Canadians cannot afford to eat. So why won't he have the courage to stand up, admit that he goofed up, and apologize to Canadians for the price he's making them pay?
The Honourable Secretary. Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Good answer, Wade.
Mr. Speaker, that past Conservative leader, that current Conservative leader have 45 years experience between the two of them, have produced nothing. On this side of the House, our Prime Minister has been elected 1 year. Strongest projected economy in the G7. Second fastest growing economy in the G7. Best net to GDP in the G7. Wages are outpacing inflation. On this side of the House, we're serious about the economy. On that side, it's bluster and rhetoric. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, what a sad sight it is when the Prime Minister cannot even stand and defend his own comments, and he claimed that life is more affordable than it's been in over a decade. He's been wrong on every major economic issue of our time. He was wrong to support the carbon tax, wrong to say that we should leave 50% of our oil and gas in the ground, wrong to oppose the pipeline to the Pacific, wrong about money printing, and now he's wrong to claim that Canadians are living a more affordable life than in a decade. Will he have the courage and stand up, admit he goofed up, and apologize to Canadians for telling them they never had it so good?
Let's save some for Wednesday. The Secretary of State for Sport.
Speaker, you know, the Leader of Opposition wants Canadians to judge people by what they say in the House of Commons. You know, I kind of agree. He thought Brexit was a good idea. He said that marriage should be exclusively a bond between a man and a woman at the exclusion of all others. He also said that Canadians should opt out of inflation by buying crypto, Mr. Speaker. We have real solutions for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We have a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. We have the groceries and essentials benefit that'll help 12 million vulnerable Canadians with their grocery bills. How about a real solution for a change rather than this rhetoric?
Better stay here. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, just last week he was telling us that he wanted to lecture us all like students. Now he won't even get out of his chair and answer for his own words. He was the one who said that affordability is better than it's been in a decade, during which time the number of people lined up at food banks, working people, hard-working people, has doubled. The rent has doubled. Beef prices up 70%. And this Prime Minister has the audacity to look mothers who have to turn back items at the checkout of the grocery aisle and say they've never had it so good. Will the Prime Minister have a courage to look that woman in the eye?
We know there's no chanting in the House. That's unparliamentary. The Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, it's a little early for cherry-picking season, but he's cherry-picking quotes, cherry-picking negative statistics to run down our country. As the Prime Minister said, Mr. Speaker, wages have grown twice as fast as the rate of inflation. We just took 10 cents off the price of a litre of gas, 28 cents since we took government. We've just given families up to $1,900 this year for the groceries and food essentials benefit. We are fighting for Canadians. They're running down the country and cherry-picking useless quotes.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was not for the artificially intelligent minister. It was for the Prime Minister.
Epithets are not permitted, and we have to treat all honourable members with respect. That doesn't mean we can't have hard-hitting questions, but no nicknames, please. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I goofed. I mixed up his title, Mr. Speaker. That's all I'm asking for the Prime Minister to do. He looked Canadians in the eyes. Canadians, who are downgrading their diets, who are skipping meals so that their kids do not have to, and said that they've never had it so good, that affordability is the best that it's been in a decade. Anybody who spent 5 minutes studying the economic facts would know that food bank lineups have doubled, rent has doubled, the cost of everything is going up precisely because of his inflationary liberal policies. Will he have the courage to stand up, own up, and admit that he goofed up?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
He is often mining for clips, as we know. Today, more often than usual, I wonder why. He might be nervous about something, Mr. Speaker. The champion of Brexit, the guy that wanted to cut the pensions of seniors, he talked about being out of touch. He stood in front of the home of a waitress and called it a shack. On this side of the House of Commons, we'll be sincere, we'll be hardworking, we'll stand by our communities and our constituents, we'll put in place the foundations for the Canadian economy in the present and the future. That's exactly what we'll do.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister owes Canadians an explanation. They're living with the worst in housing costs, the worst food costs in Canadian history. They're living with the worst food price inflation in the G7, the worst household debt in the G7, the worst housing costs in the G7, the fastest shrinking economy in the G7, breaking every single promise that this Prime Minister made. Why won't he have the courage to stand up and answer the question, admit that he was wrong about affordability, and admit he'll reverse course so Canadians can afford to eat?
Honourable Minister for Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition owes Canadians an explanation because when he goofed up and he lost his seat, Canadians spent $2.3 million of taxpayer money, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House to support women is through the National School Food Program. We're feeding 400...
We'll just wait till it gets a little quieter because the chair can't hear. And if the chair can't hear, the chair doesn't know if rules have been broken. So, well, not from the top, but the member may continue, and we'll have a bit of leeway. Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, speaking of women, that Leader of the Opposition, let's not forget, embedded misogynistic hashtags in his YouTube channel because of promoting men who hate women, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we're promoting the National School Food Program, which is feeding 400,000 kids across the country. We've made this program permanent.
The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, far too many veterans suffer from mental health issues. To help them, Ottawa has created a program called the PSRVC, the Canadian Veterans Rehabilitation Services Partners, but it doesn't help, it hurts. A survey of 51 mental health professionals shows that the PSRVC worsens veterans' conditions. They are subject to misdiagnoses by unqualified staff. Worse still, if they boycott the program, Ottawa threatens to cut their benefits. Do veterans deserve to be treated this way?
Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, supporting veterans in their rehabilitation journey is a top priority. While many veterans are seeing positive results in their overall well-being, we know that there are still many that we can continue to help. That's why I've directed my department to launch an independent review of the rehabilitation program. The goal is to identify where the program is working well and where it can be strengthened so that we can continue to support the outcomes and better support veterans through this transition.
The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, veterans who are suffering are forced to participate in the program under threat from Ottawa, even when it worsens their symptoms. They are mired and... I'm sorry? I'm not sure You can hear in your earpieces. I don't hear anything. Can you start again, please, from the top? Mr. Speaker, veterans who are suffering are forced to participate in the PSRVC, even when it worsens their symptoms. They are mired in a bureaucracy that is harmful to them, and they are repeatedly confronted with their traumas by poorly trained therapists who contradict the advice of health professionals. And yet, Ottawa is considering extending the program for another 6 years without an effective evaluation. Before proceeding, Mr. Speaker, will the minister launch an independent investigation into the human consequences of this program?
The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, our top priority will always be ensuring that veterans receive improved support, service, and rehabilitation outcomes through the rehabilitation program. Since its launch in 2021, the program has expanded to over 15,000 service providers and has supported more than 23,000 veterans. We recognize that there are always opportunities to improve. I've just said that we are going to be undertaking an independent review, and we will continue to put the care of veterans at the forefront of the work that we're doing.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, this weekend the Prime Minister described our trade relations with the U.S. as a weakness. Same thing as the Liberal policy that makes Canadians' lives much more expensive. And Liberals might have taken 10 cents off the price of gas, but it's still 30 cents more for citizens. When will this Liberal government suspend all taxes on gas? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm very proud that since Monday, Quebecers pay 10 cents less a litre in Quebec, and across Canada, this is immediate support. But we're not stopping here. We also have the CCB. I'll just give you an idea. They're voting against many thousands of children that will be helped, including many in his riding, and also the dental care program that will help many people in the Beauce. Over 28,000 of them have access to a dentist now, and they can't stand up and say that they want to defend everyone when they vote against this. The member for Beauce. Inflation costs a lot, and so does the gas, and Liberal math costs so much. The Liberals announced a 4-cent per litre discount on diesel, but this affects thousands of products, and it's 11/100ths of a cent per product. So this doesn't make sense. Will the Liberals adopt our plan and suspend all taxes on gas? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The fundamental difference between what they're doing on that side of the House and what we are is that they have no vision for the Canadian economy. We have immediate support, yes, with the freezing of the excise tax. We have grocery benefits, dental care, the CCB, and this is immediate support. And what we have is a bridge to the future. It's uniting the Canadian economy, and we're having with big projects such as the graphite project. We're talking about trade corridors, trade deals that we're signing. That's what our economic vision is on this side of the House. The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago, the Prime Minister kept saying that affordability has never been so good in over a decade. And it seems that the Brookfield elite don't go grocery shopping very often. And over the past decade, the food prices have gone up 42%, and potatoes up 60%, and beef has risen by 69%. These are facts, and the list is long. Can the Prime Minister take responsibility for the Liberals' poor track record and stop lecturing Canadians? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, it's important to walk and chew gum at the same time and to do other things. We have to be able to work on all different fronts. We are working on the gas tax. We are working on essential needs. And we're also working a lot, because that's what's important in the long term. It's giving long-term purchasing power to Canadians. We are working on our economy. We're creating jobs. We are bringing trade back. We're becoming independent. That's what we have to do. Walk and chew gum at the same time and work for Canadians. And that's what we're doing.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, we know that the Liberals love chewing gum without doing much else. Yesterday, data confirmed that Canada is the worst performer when it comes to food inflation, with the highest rate in the G7. And Canadians are miserable under Liberal rule. We've fallen from 5th to 25th in the global happiness rankings. Mr. Speaker, even without any form of track record, the Liberals are outdoing themselves in arrogance. When will this Prime Minister stop peddling illusions and finally deliver results for Canadians, all Canadians? The Honourable Secretary of State. Well, the member knows I don't chew gum myself, but in any case, thank you. But I don't doubt that the Conservatives understand that we are working for everyone when we work for children, when we work for seniors, when we work on groceries and essential goods. We, through this, work for all Canadians. And that's what's important. We work for all Canadians. And that's what we're doing on this side of the House every single day. But unfortunately, strategics that will help our economy, that will help us on our independence and that are sustainable are blocked by the opposition. The Honourable Member for Côte-du-Sud, Rivière-du-Loup, Katascomique-Témiscouata. Cutting 10 cents off the price of gas right now is like trying to put out a forest fire with a glass of water. Canadians need much more relief than 10 cents a litre. And the Liberals asked us for good ideas. Well, removing all taxes on fuel by the end of the year would have been a relief measure for families, businesses and farmers. This, not only in my riding, Côte-du-Sud, Rivière-du-Loup, Katascomique-Témiscouata, but for all Quebecers and Canadians. When will the Liberals finally listen to us and remove the 25 cents on a litre of gas? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, let's just look at the facts for once. Let's just look at the facts. If they're aware of what a fact is. I'll explain to them what facts are. There is a war happening. There's a war. The price of crude has gone from $60 a barrel to close to $100. And the impact of that is an increase in the price of gas. It's not Liberal taxes that did this. It's the international context. What we are doing is what we can do, is bringing relief to Canadian taxpayers.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton Centre.
When folks in my riding of Hamilton Centre go to the gas station to fill up gas, they will notice a difference at the pump. Yesterday, the temporary suspension of the federal fuel excise tax came into effect, saving the average Canadian family 10 cents per litre on regular gasoline. This is just one way Canada's new government is making life more affordable. Can the Secretary of State update us on this and other measures designed to put more money in the pockets of Canadians?
Good question.
State for financial institutions.
Speaker, I want to thank that member from Hamilton Centre for the great work he's doing in this House and in his riding. And yes, if Canadians go fill up right now, they're going to save 10 cents a litre. That's right. Last week, we paused the federal excise tax on fuel. You add the cut to the consumer carbon tax of 18 cents. That is a 28-cent savings when Canadians fill up. On this side of the House, we're going to continue to be focused on building the strongest economy in the G7. It's time for the Conservative Party to join us, build a strong Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
There is only 10 weeks left until the CUSMA review, and there is still no plan by this Prime Minister. Reports suggest there have been no serious negotiations with D.C. since October, while Mexico is actively engaged in informal CUSMA talks with the U.S. Mr. Speaker, we are at a critical juncture for North American trade, and I raise a very straightforward concern. 2.6 million Canadian jobs depend on this negotiation. They need certainty, they need predictability. Why is Canada not actively at the table?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-U.S. economic relations, trade.
Speaker, I want to begin by thanking our colleague for that important question. It won't surprise you, Mr. Speaker, that the premise of the question that Canada is not actively engaged with the United States or at a negotiating table is not accurate. I have had a number of conversations on a weekly basis with senior members of the American administration. The Prime Minister, of course, is also communicating directly with President Trump. Our chief negotiator, Madame Charette, Ambassador Wiseman, are also having conversations. Mr. Speaker, we're doing the important work that Canadians expect us to do, but we're also focusing on what we can control here at home.
The honourable member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington Town, Tyne-Danaga.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister was elected on the promise of being able to negotiate a deal with the United States. He has not delivered, and instead he's walking away with 76% of our exports bound for the U.S. That reality will not change quickly, and certainly not for Canadians already bearing the cost of tariffs. Diversification takes time indeed, especially when negotiations yield no results. When will this Liberal government commit to prioritizing Canada-US trade, return to Washington, and secure a deal with a nation that we trade nearly $1 trillion a year with? What's the plan?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the question gives me an opportunity to share the good news with all members of this House that this morning the Prime Minister announced an important advisory council of women and men representing businesses, elected union leaders, community leaders. In fact, the former leader of the Conservative Party, the former Premier of Quebec, the former Premier of Nunavut, former Minister of Public Safety in this House. But, Mr. Speaker, business leaders, union leaders, representatives of associations are working with this government to make sure that we have a deal for Canadian workers.
The honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, Reuters reports that Mexican President Sheinbaum is eyeing an early deal ahead of the completion of the review of CUSMA, an early deal on autos, aluminum, and steel. Is the government working in coordination with Mexico to secure an early deal on autos, aluminum, and steel? And if not, why not?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, again, to thank our colleague for that important question. Of course, we're working with our Mexican counterparts as we do the work necessary to prepare for the CUSMA review. I am in regular contact with Economy Secretary Ebrard. The Prime Minister, of course, talks to President Sheinbaum. The good news, Mr. Speaker, is Secretary Ebrard will be in Canada with an important delegation of Mexican business leaders, a return of the successful visit we did. We will continue those conversations with the Mexicans and the Americans to ensure that we get the best deal for Canadian workers and Canadian businesses.
The honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, Mexico is clearly at the negotiating table and providing formal updates. Yesterday, President Sheinbaum and USTR Greer formally met in Mexico City. The joint statement said that Mexico and the U.S. will hold talks this week on resolving trade irritants, and that Mexico and the United States will begin the first official negotiating round for the review of CUSMA the week of May 25th. When will talks between Canada and the U.S. take place to resolve irritants, and when will the first official Canada-U.S. negotiating round for the review of CUSMA take place?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, yes, of course, the U.S. is an important trading partner, but also there are many trading partners around the world that we're engaging with. We've signed a trade agreement with Indonesia, destined to be the 5th largest economy in the world, overtaking Germany. The UAE investment agreement, which brought back $70 billion of investments to this country. Of course, we have Ecuador, but also what we're doing with the European Union, Mr. Speaker. Our defense exporters have asked us to unlock opportunities, and that agreement alone has unlocked hundreds of millions of dollars of opportunities for our defense export community. This is what it takes to unlock jobs in Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Prince Albert.
Mr. Speaker, on April 2nd, the United States announced substantial changes to how they collect steel and aluminum tariffs. Now applied to full value products, this change will result in higher costs for Canadian manufacturers and reduce business activity across this country. Workers and businesses are looking for leadership, but instead they're getting silence. Was the Prime Minister aware of these changes, and what is he doing to have these tariffs removed?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, U.S. trade relationship remains key, and that's why this government is working hard every day to make sure we get the best possible deal, and not just any deal. At the same time, we're supporting trade diversification. In the last year, our exports to Europe are up 31%. Our FDI is at an 18-year high, foreign direct investment. And we're working very attentively at the industry committee. We're working very attentively to listen to what the steel and the mold makers are telling us, and we'll be there with the supports that are needed.
Honourable member for Prince Albert.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are being left in the dark on CUSMA review. We are forced to rely on media reports, the occasional committee appearance, hearing a vague talk of challenges faced. My constituents are calling me, concerned for their families and their business as resolution to these disputes continue to grind on. In fact, many of us know more about the status of the U.S.-Mexico negotiations than that of our own country. When will this Prime Minister provide a clear update to this House on the deal that he promised to secure over a year ago?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, on this side of the House, we're controlling what we can control. We can't control what is happening on the other side, but we are in regular contact both with U.S. administration officials and with the companies, with the steel makers, the mold makers, the aluminum providers, all those companies that are key to this trade relationship, not just with the U.S., but increasingly across the world, and we'll continue to be in regular contact. We will be there to support this sector.
Very good. The Honourable Member for Simcoe North.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday we learned that Mexico is anticipating a deal on auto, steel, and aluminum. In fact, Mexico and the United States have been at the negotiating table having ongoing formal and substantive discussions. But here, there are reports that there have been no substantial and ongoing formal discussions between Canada and the United States since October. So why is it again that Mexico seems to be at the table with the United States and Canada is on the outside looking in?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, as the Minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade has indicated, our talks with the United States continue as they do with Mexico. And in the meantime, we will continue to diversify our trade relationships. Over a dozen new deals signed in the past 6 months, Mr. Speaker, combined with FDI, foreign direct investment. Mr. Speaker, we are also looking to conclude additional FTAs this year, including with the ASEAN in 2026, looking ahead to Mercosur. Mr. Speaker, we can control our own destiny, and we are doing that by diversifying our...
L'honorable député de Charlesbourg.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Saint-Charles. The Prime Minister was elected on a single promise to negotiate a victory with the US President and reach an agreement on the 21st of July 2025. But no victory, no agreement so far, and US tariffs on Canadian goods have doubled. The results of this incompetence? Hundreds of Quebec businesses are losing millions of dollars due to US tariffs. Meanwhile, the Liberal government is spending billions of dollars of taxpayers' money to prop up an economy it cannot protect. Why should Canadian families have to foot the bill for Liberal incompetence? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, our colleague knows full well we have the best agreement with the States than any other trade partner. However, we do recognize that unjustified tariffs applied throughout the world, like the Prime Minister mentioned in his answers, deserve a response from Canada and the provinces in order to support workers and the industry. I'm surprised that my Conservative colleague doesn't believe that we should be here for Canadian workers. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Saint-Charles. I'm not the one who said it. Last year was the Prime Minister himself who said that he could negotiate an agreement and rectify all issues with Donald Trump. But there are no solutions. Even worse, for the last 5 months, there have been no negotiations with Americans. Nothing is moving forward. Mexico is moving forward. Other countries have agreements. Canada has nothing. But taxpayer money is being used to compensate. Companies are suffering. They don't want checks here and there. They want to actually survive. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I don't think there was a question in what my colleague said, so it gives me the opportunity to remind the House the great news that the Prime Minister announced this morning. We have implemented a new advisory committee with representatives from Labour, like Ms. Picard, from the Federation of Quebec Workers, the CEO of AgroPure, of Domtar, which is a big forestry company. These are Quebec business people. And we have business people from coast to coast to coast, those who want to work with our government because we're here for industry. The Honourable Member for Orléans. Mr. Speaker, as Chair of the Veteran Affairs Committee and proud member for Orléans, I often hear about the need to strengthen the Canadian Armed Forces to meet the challenges ahead. Our new government has embarked on an ambitious plan to rebuild, reinvest in and re-equip our armed forces. Can a Minister for National Defence provide an update on this important plan? The Honourable Minister for National Defence. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Orleans for her question. Indeed, we have some important news for Canada and the Canadian Armed Forces. Recruitment has reached its highest level in 30 years. Here are the facts. Over the past year, the number of applications has more than doubled to over 45,000. We have recruited 7,310 regular force members, thereby exceeding our targets. And 70 of the 97 critical positions have been filled. Mr. Speaker, we are working hard, but we've only just begun.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday at committee, the Auditor General revealed multiple situations where the Immigration Department failed to investigate or even detect significant cases of fraud. At the same meeting, the Deputy Minister of Immigration pled ignorance on the topic, saying, "Fourth week on the job, so I can't answer that question." In fact, for 2 straight hours, he had zero answers as to why the Auditor General found over 153,000 cases of immigration fraud, yet his department only investigated 2%. The Prime Minister said the system was under control, but like everything else, that was an illusion. Simple question, why has this Immigration Minister lost control?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
A 60% decline in the number of international students coming to Canada, a 1/3 decline in those claiming asylum. We are restoring control and integrity in the immigration system. There's a number of other examples I could provide, but for the benefit of the member, who's an honourable member and a good colleague on the Immigration Committee, he knows very well that's not what the deputy said. He's cutting off his comments, in fact. He said very clearly that the recommendations of the Auditor General are taken into account. Data systems are being put in place to ensure greater integrity. We'll continue that work.
Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Last week, a Quebec judge called out the rampant practice of prosecutors and judges arranging lenient sentences for non-citizens convicted of serious crimes in Canada in order to shield them from deportation. The reality is that many victims are suffering after non-citizens convicted of serious crimes in Canada are getting sweetheart deals so that they don't have to face the consequences already set out in Canadian immigration law. Yet the Liberals voted against my bill that would have ended this practice. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, it's important that when people commit serious crimes, they face serious penalties. That's why we are moving forward with some of the most serious reforms when it comes to Canada's criminal laws in generations. As the member knows, Mr. Speaker, there is no rule that requires judges to reduce penalties for people based on their immigration status. We want to ensure courts have the ability to make judgments that consider all of the facts of a given case, and when serious crimes are committed, serious penalties will result. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
I would love for the minister to say that to a woman whose non-citizen's ex-boyfriend choked her and assaulted her so badly that she's terrified to leave her house even for grocery shopping. Yet her attacker argued that he should get a light sentence so that he wouldn't be deported. And last week, Mr. Speaker, we found out that the judge agreed with the criminal. It's disgusting. This isn't a system that's under control, and it's not a system that provides justice for victims. The Liberals, in fact, are supporting a two-tier justice system that undermines the safety of everybody and the credibility of our immigration.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, when violent criminals are convicted of serious crimes, they must face serious penalties. That includes, Mr. Speaker, in the immigration system, the risk of deportation after a conviction for a serious crime has taken place. There is not a rule, as some have suggested in this chamber, that requires judges to give lighter sentences for people based on their immigration status. We need to ensure that the justice system operates with integrity, and that includes the ability of the court to consider all of the facts that are before the court when making a decision as to an appropriate sentence. Rest assured, Mr. Speaker, we support serious penalties for violent offences in all circumstances.
The honourable member for Mississauga-Malton.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday C-22 was referred to committee. This is important legislation in our digital age. It gives law enforcement exactly the tools that they've asked for, and our government's work is closely aligned with many child protection organizations, like Peel Children's Aid Society in my own very riding. Can the Minister of Public Safety please elaborate on what the movement of this bill means to keeping our communities safe?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank the member from Mississauga-Malton for the very important question, and let me thank law enforcement across Canada for the work that they've been doing in ensuring that lawful access measures become law in Canada. I want to assure all members in this House that we're working together to pass swift passage of Bill C-22 lawful access. Today, Mr. Speaker, chiefs of police and police leaders are gathering in Ottawa under the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police to educate lawmakers on the need for lawful access, and I invite all members to join us this evening.
The honourable member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
The Prime Minister wants to talk about our country's weakness. The only weakness I see is his broken promise to Canadians in not getting a tariff deal. A new 25% tariff was put on the entire value of goods made with steel, aluminum, and copper. This is devastating news for the thousands of workers in Stony Creek's industrial corridor and the 2.6 million Canadians that rely on U.S. trade for their jobs. It's been 1 year. When will the Prime Minister stop the illusions and get the tariff deal that he promised Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hamilton has a proud history of steel making, and there's a proud sector there of steel mold making, supporting a broader sector of Southern Ontario manufacturing. You know, on this side of the House, we're controlling what we can control, which means to expand trade to places where we have previously not been doing as much trade, establishing new trade agreements, supporting those mold makers, those steel manufacturers and others with supports, with tariff relief, and with the opportunities to move beyond that. And we know that we will be in regular dialogue with these members of this community so that we can have their backs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Canadians are being crushed by the cost of living, and now gas prices are skyrocketing. But not everyone is suffering. Oil companies will rake in an extra $90 billion this year from Donald Trump's illegal war on Iran. And what's the Liberal response? A tax cut that oil companies will simply pocket by raising prices. Instead of handing more money to oil giants, why doesn't this government cap gas prices, tax windfall profits, and use those funds to give people real relief?
The Ministre des Finances.
I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. It's in fact an important question. Mr. Speaker, you will be happy to say that yesterday, in fact, the suspension of the fuel excess tax federal, Mr. Speaker, came into force until Labor Day. But to his point, Mr. Speaker, you will remember that in last year we gave additional power to the Competition Bureau to make sure, Mr. Speaker, that they will have the tool and the enforcement capacity to make sure that we have more competition in this country. We all understand that more competition usually leads to more choice for consumer and better price for consumer, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Vancouver East.
Well, the high cost of living is fueled by greedflation, and the Liberals know it. The top 1% now holds nearly a quarter of all wealth, while the bottom 40% scrape by with just over 3%. Oil companies are on track to make $90 billion in windfall profits from Trump's illegal war. Half measures like a temporary federal gas tax suspension will not stop this gross inequality. Will the Prime Minister bring in a windfall profit tax and price caps on gas to stop oil companies from price gouging Canadians? Yes or no?
L'Honorable Ministre des Finances.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member. That's a very important question, and I'm sure all members of this House are interested by the matter. I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, we're doing our part on the federal side. Last year, she would have seen that we gave additional power to the Competition Bureau to make sure that they can investigate, that they would have enforcement tool, and we will continue, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that there's more tool in the toolbox of all the enforcement agency to make sure there's more competition and always better price for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Je voudrais signaler aux députés la présence à la tribune.
I'd like to inform you of the presence of Christian Mbadou Fansu, Minister of La Francophonie and the Congolese Diaspora of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I don't see any. It being 3:14, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion to concur in the 7th report of the Standing Committee on Human Resources, Skills and Social Development and the Status of Persons with Disabilities. Call in the members.